Explain to me how I have
Oh my god. You already know what this like 6.5 million views. Look at it. Look at the way they're dressed. Look at you heard how they sound. You already know what it's about to be. But I read the caption.
Oh, on the Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know how much it was on TikTok or Snapchat or whatever they're posting on.
This
At
girl has degrees. My God.
um at just
was
Austin.
like
Dang,
14
Oh, this
years
is a
old.
T.
this person has the literal at name Austin. That's dope. It's like having the at name Alex. Anyway, everyone is ripping on this girl for feeling entitled to a more impressive job just because of her degrees, but some of the responsibilities should be shared by the people who for told or sorry by the people who told her for 20 years that she just if she just got degrees, people would be begging to hire her. So as you'll kind of get the gist, this young lady is going to kind of speak about her frustrations with not being able to secure the job that she wants. Let's hear what she has to say.
Can anyone explain to me how I have 2 degrees? I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra along with the 2 degrees, you know? I'm trying to apply for jobs right now, and the thing is that the only person I have responding to me is a man from a tech company saying, "Hey, you want to answer some customer service problems? You want to answer some customer service calls?" No, Bart, I don't want to answer your calls. No offense, but I'm a little more qualified than to just to be sitting around answering your customer service calls, Bart. Okay, I'm sorry, but Bart is the only one who's responding to me. So what am I supposed to do? And I'm looking down at these, and I'm looking at them, and I'm kind of wondering. I'm like, what was this
grading.
for again?
She's
Oh, I
grading.
don't know. Beats me. Can anyone explain to me how I have?
Dog.
Uh,
That's the
She
problem.
somehow sounds younger than she like her whole mannerism. This is a grown woman.
oh, you got to really focus on how the young lady looks, huh?
She's literally sounds like a child, bro.
I
Like the way
mean,
she's talking, that's
I
I'm
obviously know
kind
what
of
you're talking
not
about, but
surprised
I
that
would
she.
consider somebody that's right out of college a child, but that's
True.
neither here nor there.
Y'all sound old as fuck, bro. What you mean?
I had
Y'all
this
ain't that old yet.
I had this same view when I was a person just right out of college. I like you're young, like you really don't. You're really a young person. Anyway, but anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so you heard their plight, their concerns. A person that has 2 whole degrees and some certificates on the side can't get the job that they feel that they deserve. Man, we've heard and had many conversations regarding college. I don't know if there's anything. I don't want to say. I don't know if there's anything further to deep dive because obviously there's always a deep dive to be had. But what do you hear when you hear this young lady's plight? Do you I mean, like, what is even the moral of the story? Like looking at this, like, because we always get to the conversation of like, is college worth it? And this person might be feeling that sense of it wasn't at this point. But yeah. Well, I mean, what? How do you respond to a person like this or a person that sees us in this predicament? What have you? We've had some interesting takes from you about college. Goes what do you make of this?
Um. Well, first, I mean, it does kind of matter like what the degrees are in.
That's
Didn't
actually a
really
super.
specify.
That's the super. I try to do some zoom in enhancing before the
Yeah,
podcast,
it
but
was
It's like
mirrored.
backwards
Yeah,
too. You
I
can't.
couldn't. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't make it out. I'm sorry.
yeah, but I'm. We'll assume she has some middle of the line.
I think. I mean, I'm actually thinking it's tech because she mentioned the tech guy.
What is
But
tech though?
well, I
Are
was
we
just
talking
saying like
engineering?
a
Are we talking
computer science.
Well,
IT?
yeah,
I
if the
was
person
thinking something
posting
along the
this
lines of computer science,
is a
but I don't know
software
for sure.
engineer or related to some type of tech, I would assume it's tech.
I don't. I really don't want to load. I really hope it's not because that'll make me start loading on things that and I don't know. I don't know this person demographic. I don't even know where they're at in the world. But like, I've never known someone anywhere with a software engineering degree to struggle to find
Yeah,
occupation.
we'll assume it's a general degree, but well, if we're talking about like tech currently, like there's uh because so many people recently gotten degrees in computer science and all that, there's actually a oversaturation that a lot of new college
Mm,
grads are finding.
you
But
probably do
that's
know better than
kind
me,
of
but
besides
in
the
this day
point.
and age where they're constantly looking for people that can program and people that want to get into fields where like we're increasing automation and or working on AI, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, if you're talking about AI, then yeah, but programming at this point, it's like, again, I'm not a programmer and all that. I didn't go to school for this, but from my understanding of people's complaints about it is that everyone like a few years ago was trying to get on the wave because they thought that was going to be the next big thing, and it
Can
is.
anyone
But
explain to
since
me?
everyone's doing it, it's kind of like you have to really set yourself apart in ways that go like way above and beyond that you wouldn't experience in another field of engineering.
I wonder if we can do some research while we're looking at this.
But
Go
that
ahead.
kind of beside the point of the intent of this. I 100% do think that like college has become somewhat of a racket in that people were saying for the past 30, 40, 50 years you need to go to school, you need to get a degree, and after you do that you're kind of set for life and you can get a career. I 100% think that that is the case, and the cost tuition of college has gone way up, and people kind of put up with it because in theory the
What else can you do about it?
yeah, for one, you don't kind of have an option, and for two, the rising costs would be offset by once you get the job, then you can pay back your student loans. But at this point, it's become it's become where you can't just get a degree. You have to get the right type of degree, and you have to have X amount of qualifications. You have to have an internship or a co-op, and I do think that like if you want to get a job, you should be doing those things and putting your best foot forward. But all of those contingencies and different qualifications weren't really spelled out. So a lot of people, a lot of kids were getting into things and still are getting into things and degrees that sure they might it might have some use, but if they aren't pairing it with everything else, then they aren't set apart because everyone's getting degrees now and they're stuck in a situation like this woman is where she can't she can't get find any positions except for call centers, which is lowest of the low, worst of the worst jobs that you can get.
It's
Honestly,
not a
at least in
full on call center. It sounds like it was customer service. That's tech
okay,
related.
yeah, that's fair. That's which is a step up from that, but obviously not what you wanted to be doing when she graduated. So
That's fair.
I think that at this stage it is I'm trying to I don't know what the right way to frame it is. It's definitely unfair. It's definitely bullshit, and I feel for a lot of college grads that are in this situation, but that doesn't change the fact that this is the situation that it's become, and in order to avoid being in this spot, you kind of have to know ahead of time. Like it shouldn't be coming as a surprise to you after
Yeah.
you graduate that I can't find like you need to be taking steps well before you actually graduate in order to set yourself up for the future, which you kind of shouldn't have to, but the way that it's the world is evolving now and the way that college degrees have gone, a college degree diploma is kind of equivalent in some ways to what a high school diploma used to be.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a generalization, but it's a lot less
Degree
special
inflation.
and yeah, that's a crazy way of putting it, but that is 100% correct. And it's you kind of have to know that even if you when you were getting into it, you might not have known that I would need all this extra stuff, and you would have thought you would have been set with the degree. You need to figure that out while you're still in the process of it and take some steps to uh avoid this situation. So I don't know. It sucks, but it's kind of like life is life sucks
Yeah,
a
life
lot of
sucks.
the
That
time,
is
and you
damn near the moral of the
gotta
story.
yeah, and you kind of just gotta deal with it in a way that's do a lot of applications. I've seen all the crazy things people have had to go through after graduating, like 500 applications to different positions, and you're only getting calls back on five of them. It's insane, and it shouldn't be this way, but it's the
It's a
way it
numbers
is,
game.
and you kind of have to deal with it. Sadly,
Hey man, you spit a lot of facts, and some of those we'll double back to in a second. But what about you, Ace? What do you make of this young lady's plight or story? Would you would you show something like this to somebody's upcoming that's gonna go to school soon?
Um, I mean, not necessarily. I think one big thing about increasing your chances of success for getting a decent job out of college is like networking, like that being a extremely important aspect that is often overlooked. I did like the bare minimum when I was in college, and I think that definitely contributed to the fact that I started out with a job that was not even remotely what I wanted to be do or wanted to be doing or within my career path per se or career trajectory.
The,
Um,
sorry to cut you. I 100% agree with that sentiment. And I hear on a point about it later, but don't you believe that like that is something that is like highly pushed,
yeah,
but for some reason people don't do it.
right. Yeah, I can't even really blame the colleges per se as much as my lack
Colleges, your
of.
community, your parents. Well, maybe not so much your parents, but like people. I feel like in this society that's something that's highly pushed, like networking,
I
Yeah,
going
I
go to
feel like
school and network.
I feel like now it is, but I can say when I was first going to college, which was oh my god, 10 years ago. Holy fuck, I feel
yeah.
old.
Now who's
But
feeling old?
oh my god, but when I was first going to college, like I didn't really hear any talk because like adults would tell you, oh, do this, do that, be prepared when you're going to college to figure out what you want to do. I didn't really hear anything about network. Like I kind of, as I was in college and throughout the years, you hear more and more about it. But I feel like now it's being pushed more than ever. But it's kind of, it hasn't really been that widely spread or discussed until more recently, is what I'd say.
Interesting.
But
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely, I knew it was a thing that was, um, I probably saw it as like maybe a shortcut or like in not necessarily alternative path, but something that I could potentially invest my time into, but I wasn't necessarily very worried about coming out of college with a job for some reason, even though
That's a crazy statement.
yeah,
I don't know. You could end up like this young lady.
I mean, I did. I did. Like there was a long period where I didn't have a job, um, and I, again, like I think I don't like you were
So why
saying.
didn't you get online and complain about it like her? Maybe you would have got some sympathy and somebody would have hired you.
Stop, stop, stop.
uh,
He's too old. All this wasn't around when he was graduating.
And I wouldn't if it was, but um, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, the college, from my perspective, the colleges that I went to did do a pretty good job about um making it clear that you should really be like attending job fairs and
Ruh, ruh.
getting in front of potential employers and following up and things like this to make sure that um you got something when you get out and um yeah I don't I don't necessarily blame the colleges fully, but in terms of what I would tell somebody um in college right now, that's definitely what I would emphasize. It's like you don't you can't rely pretty much at all on just the the number of your degrees, how qualified you are per se, unless you somehow already have um like experience that you can write down, because even coming out of college they want somebody with years of experience. It's like, how am I supposed to even get in the door? So unless you have experience, yeah, you're not. You have to pretty much like put a lot of effort into the networking thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anything else you would kind of say to this kind of scenario that people can find themselves and just fresh out with degrees?
Well, I will say if you start on the bottom, you can get where you want to go pretty quickly, as long as you are diligent and you don't and you put your best foot forward in whatever job you get. Like you can get far relatively quickly um with that mindset. So I wouldn't just be like this call center thing or whatever. Um like you don't necessarily, like if you got the time, you don't want to just take the first thing that comes for sure, but um I wouldn't think of it as just, it's hopeless. I'm gonna get some whack job and that's what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life. Like you definitely shouldn't think in that way. Like um because it's not hopeless. Like a couple of years might seem like a lot if you're working in a job that you don't necessarily want to be to be working, um but putting your best foot forward, you can get far. And then of course, keeping your ear to the ground as far as the opportunities and not necessarily just attaching yourself to wherever you're at, like being ready to be flexible and continue to search. It's not going to be easy, remotely easy, but it's not hopeless at all.
Yeah, that's absolutely facts. I'm gonna be honest, that's where I was gonna go. Yeah, when it comes to, and I'm glad you guys are kind of nice about it, so I can come in and be a bit more mean. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I mean, the one of the biggest moral stories is like shit ain't sweet. Shit sucks. Like one of the main things that stuck out to me was it's kind of a catch 22 thing, but the mindset or the situation of like, oh, I am overqualified for these jobs, but I can't get the jobs that I want. I mean, while sometimes things are messed up, that might mean you're not qualified for the jobs that you actually want. And yeah, I think it might suck, but if you're relatively young and you just relatively out of college, you better take that customer service at the tech firm job. You stick with that. You grind. You become the best at it. You level up. Maybe you become the senior at that position. Next thing you know, you got some supervisor experience, and you can use that to build and you get where you want to be. Like it's a grind. And then you couple that with what we're talking about, while you are in school, depending on the career choice that you want to go, you should be incorporating some level of networking into your situation. You should be going to certain events. You definitely got to put your face and your name out there, so it increases your chance. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It's super. It sucks to hear, and again, as time goes on, and more people do go to school and graduate and get certain degrees and accomplishments, that thing just gonna become like less of a factor. So you gotta have something else that sticks out. Like, I guess this is the kind of thing like as you get older and as you have the experience. But I mean, I guess this is why it's cool to maybe listen to a podcast and get the information now, because like you don't want to end up in a situation where you got a couple degrees and you think you're some hot stuff, but you're really not. Because then you just sunk your time, money, and all this investment in something that's not going to pan out. You don't want everyone to be feeling like uh, the work that you put in isn't reciprocated. So yeah, I think
It kind of.
it's a lot of factors. What is that?
Never mind.
Fair enough. Um, even in that, we're kind of joking about it. I'm not necessarily even mad at them going online and talking about it. I think it does lead to certain conversations, and I don't know. Maybe if they have a younger person in their community, a younger sibling, a younger cousin, they can look at this and maybe they can build a better foundation and go about it a bit differently. But yeah, I think in general, yeah, people just got to change their mindset about school for better for worse. People be thinking once they get out of school, it's time to like go out and buy a house and become the VP of your company. Nah, fam. You gotta grind a little. You gotta, especially if you're like a young lady, stay at home. Just like chill. Like it's you'll get where you want to be. Trust and believe.
I really never.
Well, I don't know why you keep saying something and then saying never mind. If you want to say something, get it
Because
off
what
your
I have
chest.
to say isn't productive. I
Fair
just say
enough.
I really. It's nothing against you. I just really don't like that advice, and I'll leave it at that.
I mean, that's understandable. If it's not productive, we like to be productive over here. Although you can't really say anything about it. It's pretty solid advice. Um, but I digress. Unless there is anything else, we can move on to the next topic.